Hello, everybody. Welcome back again.
Yo.
It is Debate the Slate. It is Thursday. We are live, coming at you from Chicago, coming at you from Seattle, ready to watch some Thursday night football. So stoked it's back that time of the week. I've been running crazy this week, dude. I've been doing like a bunch of like events around town here in Seattle for like the day job, but it just feels so good to know that like football's back and the weekend's coming up. It's like
all that work has a purpose.
It's like the flare gun, right? It's like the flare gun for the weekend, just like
yep.
It's like and it's like the shittiest color rush colors going up in the air. This flare gun is.
Yeah, right. Color rush for president, just the mentality.
Color rush for president. I like that. I think that it'll be good. You know.
I want to know whose idea that was originally. It's like, what if we just like put
I'm waiting for the 30 for 30
uniforms every single Thursday? Oh yeah, in like 20 years when it's not a thing, they're gonna be like, what if I told you it takes one fucking idiot to ruin one night of the week?
Oh man, I'd watch. I mean, I fucking watch all those 30 for 30s, so I would watch the shit.
I watch all the shitty Thursday football games. I'd absolutely watch that 30 for 30.
It's true. What's your favorite 30 for 30? If you had to pick one.
I don't know.
Do you have any 30 for 30s like on like UK or anything like that?
Yeah. There is a Cal one. I actually haven't seen it because I think when it like premiered, like I had something going on. It was one of those where like a week or two goes by where like I had so much shit going on. I think I was like out of town and work was crazy.
Yeah.
That it was just like, do I even see this now? Like no one gives a shit. I'm gonna be able to watch it and not have anyone to talk to about it. They won't care. They're like, yeah, dude, old news.
For sure.
I think there is a Cal one. I'm like kind of partial. I think the first one, and I'm pretty sure it's actually an official 30 for 30. The fucking guy that tried to buy the Islanders in like the 80s that actually had like $3,000 to his name.
Yeah.
That E from Entourage fucking narrates. It's a great one, but it's like hockey. It's like the business side is crazy for me. It's like nerdy ass little E is kind of dang it. And I think that might have been the first 30 for 30 I ever saw, or like saw the whole way through.
Yeah.
And so that it's also like special because of that. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I really, really, really love The U. Like, The U is just such a good documentary. It's just shot really well. I really liked Soul Man. I actually went back and rewatched Soul Man, talking about Sonny Vaccaro and like all the sneaker stuff, because that obviously all came back into the limelight with all this shit that went down. So that one was really good. I don't know. I would love to see a full-on 30 for 30 on. I think there was like a Sports Center special, but like on the Flintstones, like Mateen Cleaves and like Morris Peterson and like that Michigan State team. I think that would be fun. But yeah, 30 for 30. It's just such a. Thank you, Bill Simmons, for that one. A lot of people don't like Bill, but gotta tip the cap. Gotta tip the cap to Bill for that one.
He's good at a lot of what he does. I think what people don't like about him is that like like on like camera he is like anti-charisma, but like his plan, like his like sports media, like from strategy and programming to like writing and knowing what people want, like you gotta respect that.
Oh yeah, for sure. And if he ever wants to come on the podcast or Cousin Sal or any of them, you guys are more than welcome to come on. All right, man. So we have a really big show for you guys. Make sure that you do share. Make sure you like. Make sure you comment. Talk to us.
Yeah,
tell
share
us that
whatever
we suck.
Corner it's at.
Yeah, all that shit, all that.
Tell me how fucking useless I am.
We're idiots.
I can't even argue them anymore. Like I used to be able to talk shit to the haters.
Like how have you felt like sort of like processing how bad you did on this show last week?
I was like trying to work on locks for this episode that we'll get to later, but I was like, I just felt so fucking useless. I was like, I'm an idiot. I'm not good at this. I'm not good at anything. I'm a fucking moron. Like, what are you doing?
That's what we do here at Debate the Slate. We make you question your usefulness as a human.
Yep.
But that's what we do. That's what the fuck this stupid thing is. Like I was talking to my girlfriend about it, and it's like she's like, why do you do it? Like, why do you keep on going? And it's like, I mean, I might have a problem, but then it's also like you just get used to it, right? You just get used to the loss and the anger and the frustration and the elation when you think you're going to cover, but then all of a sudden you get a bad beat of the motherfucking century when Kansas City somehow scoops that fumble and runs it into the end zone when you had the under in that game. Unfortunately, you had the under in that game.
Ouch.
And you just know that the world was just tweeting out my bad beat, man. That was just...
Yeah. That was a legendary bad beat.
It was so bad. The same thing happened in the college football game on Saturday, I think. It was
Which game?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what game it was, but
I don't know. It more reminded me of the Miami Duke game last year.
Yep.
Kind of reminded me of that,
Yeah.
except this time, like, the call was correct.
True. Very true. There's nothing you could do about that, but
yeah, they were like fucking Duke did the forward lateral like thrice against Miami, like with negative 12 seconds left. I was like, this is the line on the screen, and that ball goes boop, whichever forward would be, because my lefts and rights are all backwards on camera. So
yeah,
guy's an idiot. Doesn't know left and right, and he can't even pick a winner.
Well, we are still going to give you guys some winners. At least we'll try to. We're going to talk a little bit of. We have a couple of games. There's obviously a game tonight that's going on, and then we have a couple of college games we're going to talk about, and then through the magic that is software here, we're going to bring in our good friend. We're bringing a guest on Thursday. This is a big time guest.
This is new.
She is
fucking hilarious.
She's fucking hilarious.
For starters.
She's a self-proclaimed dirt bag. She's amazing. It's the wonderful Charlotte Wilder. You may follow her on Twitter at Wilder Things. If you don't, hammer that button.
Yeah, dude, that's a must follow.
Yeah, for sure. I think I'm going to give her some shit. The fact that she doesn't follow us yet. Like, what the hell is that? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
she needs to.
Yeah, we will bring that up. That's unacceptable.
We'll bring it up. We'll see what happens. But
it is like an exclusive list. Like it's like the list to get into the dope part of the club.
Exactly.
Because she has like 15,000 followers.
Yeah. God. She's cool.
Whatever.
So we're gonna ask her a bunch of questions. But first, Garrett, I want to talk to you about the game that's going on tonight. I don't know what happened to my boys last week. I'm not really sure. Belichick said, "We gotta coach better, and we have to play better." So
I don't understand the question.
We're on to Cincinnati. So they're taking on Tampa Bay. That's good. I think I have a Belichick impersonation.
Yeah, it's pretty solid.
All right. Sweet.
No.
So we've got this. Right now the line is 5.5. New England is giving up 5.5 points against the Bucks. The Bucks are either like really good or really bad when they play. Like that loss to Minnesota was pretty
awful.
But then like
because that was the first game that Minnesota played without Bradford, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then I mean they looked good against Chicago, which
what's that
I'm
fucking
now
mean?
Listening to it as I say that sentence again.
That's my thing when I was looking at this. I was like, and then they barely beat the Giants, right?
Yeah.
By like 3.
Yeah, they barely beat the Giants.
So I'm like, really, what have they accomplished?
I mean, not a lot. But, I mean, the Patriots team is just beat up. Like, that's the way I look at this game is that, like, I honestly think that the line to play here is probably that over-under line. It's set at 55.5. Like, I don't know who's going to win this game. I really don't.
2 super powerful offenses. 1 god-awful defense. That's you guys. Sorry.
Yep.
And the Bucks, I assume they have, honestly, like I haven't taken a much look at like the stats and things. I would imagine like a pretty middle of the pack defense. I feel like they're somewhat outperforming some of the talent people expected from them.
Yeah.
But they still aren't like someone you're gonna say is like a good or great defense.
Yeah. But like I'm looking at this game and I'm seeing like the game against Kansas City went over 58. The game against New Orleans went over 55. The game against Houston went over 44, went way over 44. The game against Carolina went over 48, went way over 48. So, like, the way that this is looking, like, I think this is just the Patriots team that you have this year. You have a Patriots team that's going to give up 24 to 35 points a game, and they have enough offensive power, and Tom Brady's a good enough quarterback to be able to keep you in that game. But what happens from there, it's hard to tell. So
yeah,
I think that this game is going to over. So that's I think we both
especially
agree that's
I think
where we're
it
going to put our
opened
money.
at like 54-2, I believe.
I think it's going to be a good game, though. I mean, like realistically, I do think it's going to be pretty good. So
I agree. It's one of these where I'm like, I really want to take the Bucks plus 5.5 because the Pats have looked so bad on defense.
for sure.
But I'm not gonna. I don't think I'm gonna do it. Because there's like a 90% chance that some game this season that should be close, or like the Pats like weren't supposed to blow them out, they'll win by like 40-2 or something, and then we'll be like, that was the turning point, week like 6, when the Pats like the season changed, or like some bullshit like that.
Yeah.
And it'll be like the game will, like, Vegas will have it like a 3.5 point line, and then the Pats have to cover, and then they'll win by like 28.
For
so
sure.
Like more realistically, that's the kind of shit that'll happen. And
Yeah.
I'll be like, fuck these guys.
I feel you.
So I'm not ready to like fade the Pats or anything.
All right. Let's talk about let's keep it in the NFL. Let's just finish this out, right? And then
Please tell me we're going where I hope we're going.
oh,
Toilet
we're
bowl?
going. We're going to the best football game of the fucking weekend.
Of the century.
The New York, the
Speaking
goddamn
of 30
Jets.
for 30s.
The goddamn Jets versus the winless Cleveland Browns. Over-under on this one is set at 39.
Which is
And it's-
amazing.
And it's a pick'em. It is a pick'em. So when you have a pick'em, you basically have to think like a home team gets like 2.5 points. That's basically what Vegas gives a team for being at home. Moves line either way. So like Vegas actually thinks that if this was played on a neutral field, which it won't ever be played on a neutral field because there's no way these two teams are meeting, and there's no way that would happen anyway. But anyway,
It would take like natural disaster.
exactly.
For them to play on a neutral
They
field.
think that the Jets are a better team. The Jets are on a tear,
You have to call the Jets a better team.
right? I mean, they have wins. So
I would say it doesn't matter who it's against. Like the accomplishment of being able to win a game in the active season in the NFL is enough to where you have to say that team's slightly better. Like it doesn't matter who it was against, what they've done. I mean,
it's
the
true.
Browns
So,
had a chance to play Indy with what's his face's second game, the old Pats guy.
Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, wasn't it Brissett's like second game that he had played? And that's where the Browns were favored, and they couldn't do it. So
Yeah. So you have a pick'em. I mean, like I'm going to pick the Jets in this game. Like I'm not going to picking the Jets, but I'm still going to pick the Jets. But I honestly think that under like could really actually happen. Like
I just don't know if either like.
Or are we going to have a situation like this happened to us a couple of weeks ago, the Thursday night game between the Rams and the Niners? We thought that was going to be ugly, and we bet the under, and it almost hit the under by half. I mean, the over by halftime.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like both defenses are bad enough.
Yeah.
To where, and like both offenses are also so bad enough that like there are some primo players on the defensive side of the ball on the field, but overall both defenses are trash. To where like a wrong play here could be a pick that like leads to some points, or maybe a pick six or something. But 39 is just so low.
Yeah.
But
I mean, there's more tickets. It's almost like a 4-1, 3-1 ticket odds right now on tickets that are coming in on the Jets than on the Browns. But most of the money's over there too. So like, I'm thinking that the sharps are betting on this. Let's stop talking about this game before we get any more sad. We're both going to watch it because we're done.
I love awful matchups in the NFL.
Oh, they're great. They're wonderful. It's like that moment that you have where you're like, I should have kept playing. Like I could have played in this game.
I don't know about that.
You never thought that?
Like,
but
I'm just like, this is just, it's just so like, it's just like an art form when things are so bad. Just a collection of the worst like has come together.
It's true. It's really true. That's basically how you could describe the internet, though. Just the collection of the worst things coming together.
Yeah, pretty much.
As an art form. All right, one more pro football game. We will talk about a couple of other pro football games in our locks that we will give you a little bit later. But the Packers are +2 at the Cowboys. So you've got Aaron Rodgers coming down. A repeat of the NFC, what was it, divisional round? Yeah, the divisional round from last year.
Yeah.
And then this was the last win that the Packers had before they ended up losing that crazy long streak. That's one dude we should get on this podcast. That dude that doubled down when Aaron Rodgers said run the table, and that guy that like doubled down every single game, no matter what. So the Packers are getting 2 points on the road in Dallas. Dallas just lost to the Rams. They haven't looked great. The Packers obviously looked good against Chicago, but then again, as we've already said once in this podcast, it's Chicago.
It's nothing.
What are you thinking? Like, are you putting any money in this game? Are you going to touch this one?
Yeah, over-under set at 52. I probably like that over.
Yeah.
Considering the Packers' defense, just no. Just two high-powered offenses, and I'm not impressed at all about either of their defenses. I feel like the Cowboys are better at home in my mind, but like, I mean, so far from what we've seen this season, like if you're going to give Aaron Rodgers and the Packers some points, fucking snag them. I know that Atlanta was rough, but Atlanta was at home and had looked amazing on their own field so far. But the Cowboys' inconsistency, I like the Packers with a couple points.
All
right. What about you?
See, I feel you as well. Like I might actually put this in like the dogs are howling type of a range, thinking that the Packers are going to win this one straight up.
That's kind of what I think, but like it's one of those where it's like
I get a little nervous though, because as of looking at this, I'm looking at the numbers from Vegas, and right now, if you're looking at this game, the majority of the tickets are actually on. It's 65-35 right now for tickets that are on Green Bay, but 68% of the money is actually on Dallas. So there's some sharp money that's coming in here. I'll tweet out about this game as it gets closer to actual kickoff, just letting you guys know like what those numbers are looking like, seeing if there's any more money that's going to be coming in. But like right now where I'm looking, like it kind of does worry me a little bit because of seeing some of that stuff. But I also know what Aaron Rodgers can do. I think aside from Tom Brady, it's really just like those two that are. I mean, they're just far and away the best quarterbacks, I think, in the National Football League right now. The gap between them and the next tier, I think, is pretty wide. I think Aaron Rodgers also retook the lead for the MVP race for this week as well. After his
on like the odds front?
On his odds, yeah. So
okay.
he became the favorite. But yeah, I think it's interesting that you have that there. So. One question I did want to ask you about the NFL. If you're looking at it, there's 4 defeated teams that are left. You've got the Browns, you got the Giants, you have the Chargers, and you have San Francisco. Looking at those 4 teams, who do you think? And the Giants and the Chargers are actually playing each other this week, so one of them will come off the schneid. Who do you think has the best chance of actually getting their first win of the season?
I think I like the Chargers to get their first win.
You think they're going to beat the Giants? The Giants are going to go 0-5?
I really think they might. I mean, I just haven't seen anything. I really wish, not that like the Chargers have much, like their fans apparently just don't give a shit. Not that it's much to be at home, but like the lack of travel and things. I wish it was in LA. It just seems like the Giants have had their chances to get these wins, and it's just fucking like not meant to be. There's not a lot of like smart, like, I don't know. I do like the Chargers with, what are they getting, like 3 or 3.5? I think it was when I looked. I definitely like them with the points, but
Yeah, they're getting 3 right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, the Chargers they have an offense that I like what they have, like the names they have on that side of the ball, and they've got a couple people on defense, and last year the Giants defense looked good, and they have been absolute shit this year. They have no running game.
Yeah.
And I mean, Eli's been bad, not like horrifically bad, but bad. So I just don't know. But they're a team that, not like the Pats, but they just click one day, just pop off, and Odell has
that,
fucking
dumb Eli
3 touchdowns. Yeah, exactly.
It's dumb. Okay, let's move on to some college football and then bring in Charlotte for our interview. Make sure you guys... I
want to say that I think this weekend's slate of college football shit, by the way.
It's not great.
It's a bummer.
We'll sort of speed through some of these. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna on the fly. I'm gonna get rid of one of them because I'm actually talking about it in my locks. So we don't actually have to chat about it here.
Talking about 2 of them in your locks.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about 2.
Anyway.
West Virginia plus 13.5 at TCU. TCU fucked me over when they beat Oklahoma State.
TCU.
They're a good team. They have the ability. I mean, it's Oklahoma and then everybody else in that division right now, but TCU is definitely right there. The over-under is set at 69, so nice.
Nice.
Do
you bet on it to hit? Yeah, I need to find like one of the prop bets where like I can bet that it's gonna hit the over-under number.
Yes, nice.
I'm just gonna bet the house
internet would blow up if that happens. Over-under set at 69, and then it hits 69.
Yeah, it's a nice bet.
It's a
there you go, folks.
So what are you doing at this game, man?
Probably not a lot. I haven't. I don't really. The fucking Big 12 sucks. Like, from a fan standpoint to like how good I think their best teams are standpoint, just everything about it. West Virginia, they like have burned me in the past, and I don't know if I can trust them. I'll look at. I need to check what like the first half line was of this. If we forgot to put it up here before we started, but I might look at that and see if TCU will cover. If anything, I'm gonna bet the over here because neither of these teams have. Actually, TCU's defense was good against Oklahoma State, so.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm probably going to bet the under. Like, I don't necessarily trust that this game is going to be crazy. I mean, West Virginia put up 56 points against Kansas. West Virginia really hasn't played anybody, like, super great, even though they've been putting up some big numbers.
Yeah, but I think all they have to do for this to hit 70 is then put up, like 21, like, ish. Like, I think TCU has the firepower to really run it up.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good
point. It's one of those that I'll definitely pay attention to as it goes, because if like both teams score pretty quick, I'm gonna be like, all right, TCU said fuck this on defense, and like it's just gonna run up.
This is a game to pay attention to those turnovers too, because like if teams are marching and you're starting to see like an interception thrown or like a fumble in the red zone, something like that, where points should have gone on the board and they don't, that's a great indicator when you're talking about like in-game betting is going, because as soon as that happens, like those lines drop down and you have that moment to be able to go, okay, here we go. Like I'm going to be able to slide in here when those lines drop. Because if you're waiting, like this line will move higher than 69 pretty damn quick, and you're not going to have a chance to get in there. So,
have you seen that Texas Tech and Kansas' line has gone up to 80.5 now? It's
ridiculous, man.
What was last year? There was a game last year that was the highest like ever line. Do you remember that? It was like
it was like 86
something like that. Way up there.
It was wild.
And it had to go. It hit, but it had to go to OT.
Yeah. All right. Actually, the next game we were going to talk about, I'm going to tease it, because it's Miami -3 at Florida State. Over-under is 47.5. Garrett and I both have this in our locks, so you're going to have to stick around to be able to hear this. But what we're going to do is we are going to bring you a wonderful interview. She is fucking hilarious. She's one of the best Twitter follows. We're going to bring her in right now, Miss Charlotte Wilder. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Debate the Slate. I am super fucking fired up for this interview. Garrett and I have been talking about it for about 2 weeks. We've gone back and forth. And yeah, we're really jazzed. I'm just going to get out of the way and welcome a writer and general self-proclaimed weirdo at SB Nation, Charlotte Wilder, on the podcast. Charlotte, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi guys. It's my pleasure. I'm so excited to be talking with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been, we teased it on Twitter, talking about fangirling. I don't know if you noticed, Adam, followed you on Twitter, but that's us. You're welcome. So we've been hyped, talking you up, and been getting pumped.
Yeah.
The Wilder things.
Thank you for that. I don't know that I deserve that at all, but I'm flattered and moved, and hope that I don't completely disappoint you with this conversation.
We are sure that you won't. Garrett and I most of the time just talk to each other, so it's just like literally any break from that is just really great. So
okay, well, here I am.
So I want to start off with a question. I'm not sure if you've actually ever gotten this question before, but your last name is Wilder, so I really just want to know what it was like growing up being the younger sister of Van Wilder. Like, was that a fun household to be in? Was it tough? Just sort of tell us a little bit about that.
It was pretty bro-y. It's probably why I love sports so much. When that movie came out, I was like, oh, this is going to be a long...
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. Damn it. Because I already got like, oh, is your last name Sweb? And I'd be like...
Oh...
You're so funny. Literally never heard that before. Wait, You know the book Charlotte's Web too? And then Van Wilder came out, and that's like been a small price to pay, because I actually think my name is probably the best thing I've got going for me. I was like, thanks, Mom and Dad. You really, you nailed that one. And I don't have a middle name, and I've asked them that before. I was like, why don't I have a middle name? And they're like, well, we could barely agree on Charlotte, so we got to that. And then you're like, fuck it. And I was like, that it kind of explains why I am the way I am, probably, but I'm here for it. So
yeah. Garrett, what is your middle name?
Well, actually, I just said Wild, which is funny for multiple things, but my middle name is Wile, W-I-L-E.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's my mom's maiden name, so I'm pretty pumped about it. We have cool middle name. My brother's James Ecton Green Jr., but he goes by Ecton, E-C-T-O-N, which is just very wild. I know, family name, but when I was a real little kid, I was kind of jealous because he was the junior, but then I was like, no, Wile's pretty tight, Garrett's pretty chill, but Ecton, everyone only meets one Ecton unless you meet him with our grandfather.
I've been meaning to talk to you about this. You have a lot of Garretts on one podcast.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like you could just go by Dom Garrett Green.
We could.
And
be one it's like a mind meld.
Yeah, I like it.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
I understand that that's not how humans and names work, but
but it would work.
It's true.
Yes, accurate.
If that's
correct.
how humans and names worked, you guys would be all set.
It's exactly it. I think that's why we actually came together in the first place. So
yeah.
I was just looking for an easier way to say both of our names on a podcast. I didn't even want to be a part of a podcast, and then met Garrett, and I'm like, fuck, I guess this is what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
So
the Garretts, Mr. and Green.
Yeah. I do have to make sure though, whenever it's weird for me to say hey guys, it's Dom and Garrett here, because then I just feel like I'm saying my full name wrong. Dom and Garrett, that's my name. So yeah, it's Garrett automatically gets first billing because Garrett and Dom just rolls off of my tongue.
Yeah.
Here, so
that would be
you always use your name first because it's alphabetical, and I'm always I don't want him to think I'm trying to put me first on shit or anything like that. But now you make a really good point.
No, on group projects where you used to even if you did all the work, you would put Kevin and Dylan and Charlotte. Kevin and Dylan, who the fuck are they? But whatever, you'd be blah blah and Charlotte, so that you're I'm being humble, and then you'd get really mad because you did all the work anyway. I don't know. Maybe this is a specific.
This is turning into a therapy session. I'm you want me to start?
Yeah, seriously.
So Charlotte, talk more about Dylan. Who is this Dylan?
I literally don't know any. I know one Dylan, and we didn't go to school together, so like I don't know where that came from.
Do you think that Dylan would be shitty on group projects?
No, actually, I think he'd be great.
Okay.
So fuck Kevin. That was the other guy, right?
Yeah.
Fuck you, Kevin.
Kevin's an asshole.
Pull your weight.
What a fuck.
The group review thing? Yeah. We're coming for you.
Speaking of fucks, you recently moved and none of your friends helped you. Would you like to clear the air right now and call out any coworkers that didn't take time off of work to help you move your furniture upstairs?
No, I was thinking about this. It was Monday, and I was driving some stuff from my parents' house in Boston to my new apartment in Brooklyn. And I sent like a bunch of people texts being like, "Hey, can you not go to work and help me move?" And they and my friends were like, "No,
that's a
what?
Bold fucking move."
Yeah, they're like, "No, I'm not going to skip work to help you carry heavy stuff." And I was like, "But it would be fun." And they were like, no, no. They were like, I can help you after work. And I was like, well, that timing doesn't work for me. And then I was like, you literally deserve to have no one help you because you're being an asshole.
That's bold.
And then I was a strong, independent woman, carried all my shit inside myself. It was a good workout. Everything worked fine. So
let's clap it up.
Bravo.
Let's clap
Bravo.
it up for C-dubs.
Well, one.
Oh,
floor.
Nice. All right.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
All right.
That's clutch.
Yeah. I got to drive a Tahoe. I rented a Tahoe because I managed to fuck up my U-Haul reservation, and they didn't have one because I messed it up. It was totally my fault. And then my dad had to drive me like an hour and a half both ways to pick up the rental. I mean, it was like a whole thing. I'm 28 and very much in charge of my own life, clearly. So I rented a Tahoe and was driving this huge-ass SUV around Brooklyn, and it was a real power trip, I have to say.
So how many man buns did you run over? That's the question I really like.
Yeah.
Like I'm setting the over-under at
4.
least 3,
Mom,
3.5.
Don't tell them.
Okay, sorry. Yeah,
Blown up my spot.
Yeah, Charlotte and I were doing prep for this interview, and I called her while she was on the road driving. You were a little too eager to talk while you were driving too. Like I'm sure that there was hands-free devices there, but like I heard quite a few bumps, and like I told myself that it was like small animals, but I know that it was like there was a Brock. There was a Brad.
I would rather run over a Brock or a Brad than a small animal.
Who's worse, Brock?
Yeah, for sure.
Brad
it's
or
like,
Kevin?
Oh shit! I think I just killed the guy from Bonnie Bear. Fuck. Whatever. Traffic's bad.
Let's not do this. Yeah, it was all. You caught me on like hour 4 of terrible traffic, and so I was thrilled to talk to you, but I also would have talked to anyone who was willing to be something other than like the Dolly Parton album I'd just been playing over.
Hey, 9 to 5. What a way to make a living. See,
Really
that's
good.
why because Dolly Parton is such a strong, independent female. That's how you were summoning the strength to be able to carry all those boxes yourself.
That's true. It was just prep.
Yeah. There you go. What like about giving away where you live? What area ish of Brooklyn did you move to?
The one.
I mean, if it's like Williamsburg, there's way too many people there to like hunt you down. Just like that's okay. But if it's very obscure,
did you hear me just try to describe where I live?
I mean, I saw your mouth open and like a lot of air came out, but I don't know if there was any like.
I just want you to know what you just witnessed was me trying to come up with a joke and just. That was for years. That's what it looks like when this whole thing just fails completely.
Oh, this is it.
She's like, what's something stereotypically douchebaggy and made fun of in Brooklyn? Duh, fuck!
Yeah. I was like, come on, this is an easy one. You can do it.
Yeah,
and then
that's like as softball of a question as you can get is make fun of Brooklyn.
Yeah, I know. I live near Bed-Stuy.
Okay.
Got it.
I live in Clinton Hill, so.
Hey, that's where I was.
Yeah, it's
Good
beautiful.
area.
I love it.
Garrett, is that the apartment that I stayed over at that one time?
Oh shit, yeah, you stayed there, and yes, it was that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Cool, thanks for the invite, guys. Awesome. Hope you had fun.
We did. That was one of those nights that, like, I remember the beginning going to what was the name of the place? Like the front porch or some shit like that. The trailer park. I don't remember.
Yeah, it was designed
Probably.
after a trailer park.
Yeah.
In like, I don't know, it was probably like 8th and 16th, 20th.
This is a great podcast conversation.
Yeah,
going on
killing
over
it.
here.
Care about where you guys partied that one night.
It was great though. Man, now God, that one sentence you just said, I just second guessed my entire life. I'm like, you're right. No one cares. I quit the podcast. Thanks, Charlotte.
My entire career is predicated on people like caring what dumb joke I tweet. It really, trust me, I'm with you, man. Like,
oh man. So let's talk about that for a second. Like I found you. I think it was. We talked about this before. Like, I actually started talking to you before you knew it was me. That's a super creepy sentence. But
no, I love it. I love it. Keep going.
Because I used to work for Applebee's, and so I was tweeting as Applebee's at you because I thought you were funny, and then you were like, obviously people respond to Applebee's, and so I was like, this girl is like really funny. So I started following you from my personal account. You're one of like 10 people that I've ever done that to, where I was just like, this is good enough for the personal follow.
I'm honored. I remember that. I think it was when I was watching, I think it was some football game when I lived in DC, and I was with my friend, and we were arguing about what like the hierarchy of Applebee's, Ruby Tuesdays, like all that, like what their signature dishes
exactly what it was.
And I was like, obviously it's Applebee's spinach artichoke dip. And so I ranked, I did some fucking stupid tweet. It was like, casual fast food ranked. And then you like hopped in.
You're just like throwing shade at your own jokes that have completely made a living for you.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I sit back and I'm like, wow. I mean, I think that I don't mean to sell myself short. I think that I have done some good stuff. But I do think that there's an aspect of the silliness of it where I take true delight in talking about things that don't matter at all, because otherwise, you laugh to keep from crying. I think that
should be Twitter's new catchphrase. Laugh to keep from crying.
No, seriously, like things are bad and the world is awful, and I take real joy in the things that we can still take joy in. But I think that you actually tweeted at me and my friend Travis and were like, here's a $20 gift certificate to like go get some spinach artichoke dip. But then like we didn't. I don't know. It was great. I loved it.
That's good. Yeah, I mean it was fun, but like how did you get from like you're gonna be somebody who is funny and just wants to put up fun stuff on Twitter to being so much of a baller sports writer that you don't have to spend $20 free to Applebee's? Like, how did that happen for you? Was it just like, did you start writing and the tweets just sort of came? Like, what was it?
I mean, that's actually an interesting question. I've never really thought about which came first. I think it's sort of like a chicken and egg question for me. I think I've had a weird career, like, in terms of how I got here. I was at a food magazine right out of college, and I had my own blog, and I remember I would sit there at work at the cooking magazine, which was it was like a combination of writing, but also like a lot of marketing, and I like did all our producer YouTube videos and like did our email newsletters and like put together gift guides. And I remember sitting there like looking at Twitter at, a lot of sports writers, but, just sort of culture writers, and being like, fuck, man, I really think I could do that. I was like, I just need someone to give me a chance. Like, but I hadn't gone to journalism school. I didn't really know anyone in that world. I was living in Boston. I knew I had to be in New York. And so I just kind of started bushwhacking my way in. And like, eventually after 2 years at the cooking magazine, I went to Boston.com, which is a part of the Boston Globe, and I started doing all sorts of stuff there, which was great. They really gave me a broad range until things sort of changed. And then, I realized that I needed to go somewhere else, and I wanted it to be somewhere national. And so I knew Nate Scott, who was at USA Today For the Win at the time, and he suggested they hire me there, and they did. And from USA Today, and I was not a sports writer at Boston. Like, I would do some Pat stuff, but it was mostly not sports. And when they were like, we want to hire you for our sports blog, I was like, cool, awesome. I like sports. I will write about anything. Super not a sports writer. Like, I didn't like know who James Harden was. Like, shit like that. And through blogging,
Garrett, that face is like the emoji face. The
Sorry,
they redesigned recently. I missed that one.
No, but I followed. I knew like the big storylines. I followed sports enough to be able to, like, pretty quickly figure out what was going on and who everybody was, and it was like drinking from a fire hose. But SB Nation kind of became aware of me, I think, largely through Twitter, which sort of gets back to your original question, which was this whole time I was just sort of, even when I had like 200 followers, I would just be like saying my weird jokes, and as people sort of started to become aware of me, I think that it resonated. And the way I think of Twitter is like, it'll be a place for a one-off, or a place for community, like watching a game. I love having that it's like watching a game with your friends, but once it became sort of like, I was able to use that as a way to be like, hey, if I'm in a job right now where I can't show my personality or can't write about certain things, I can tweet about them. And from that, it could become, oh, well, this job popped up. And then my rule now is generally if I find myself tweeting about anything like more than 2 or 3 times, I'm like, oh, this is an article. Like, I think that there's, I would rather write an article than send a string of tweets, but I would also rather send one dumb tweet than think something needs to be blown out into 800 words.
Yeah, I don't like sometimes. Like, I think a lot of times there are people who are just keep tweeting that it should be like, it'd be like, this could be a really like quality piece of content if it were an article. But then sometimes you don't have that time. Like, by the time it takes me even like a few hours, if I rush through, like, no one's going to give a shit about this. But if I tweet about it, I can keep attention. Like, I live tweeted The Price is Right a couple days ago. I can't write a whole article about that. They're going to be like, yeah, we already know Tiffany won a car and a trip to England and that David fucked up and bet too high. Like, come on, Garrett. This is common knowledge.
No, totally. And sorry for that long-winded answer, but I think that's exactly right, where it's like, yeah, you need to find the balance between what's something valuable and what's just sort of like a fun joke. And I really don't think too much about it, which is maybe a problem. But, I'll send something that's sort of been sitting in my brain, and I think people relate to that. I think that if there's something sort of universal that I can put into the world, it tends to resonate if I'm not completely off base.
Like maybe mocking The Bachelorette or The Bachelor a little bit. You want to open up that can of worms?
Yeah, I just want to know.
I feel like that really lifted you to another level of like fame.
Yeah, and you could talk about that, but also like, can you just fucking explain to me why the sports world is so goddamn obsessed with The Bachelor? Like,
it's
like
crazy.
The only thing I can think of in my head is like, maybe it was just like subtly put there through ESPN because they like also own ABC, like it's the same parent company.
ABC money.
Yeah, and so like that's the only thing I could think of, and they just subliminally got everybody. But everybody talks about it. It's not just ESPN. Like,
yeah, no, I don't. I think that once The Bachelor realized that they had this sports following, they really leaned into it. And then the ESPN Fantasy League. I think that was more natural, though. I don't think that was some like, if that was a masterminded plan, then kudos, that's fucking brilliant. But I think what it is for me, the reason I started writing about it was I was at For the Win and saw that Aaron Rodgers' brother was going to be on The Bachelorette. And for some reason, I thought that was the funniest thing I'd ever heard. Here's this, failed NFL Canadian football player who is now on a dating show. And I was like, oh my God, this is pure gold. And like, I knew some friends. Yeah, I knew some friends who knew him when they were at Vanderbilt, were the same year. And so I was sort of like, I have this tendency that like, I'll find something and then be like, why do I think this is so fun? Like, there's something so inherently funny about certain things to me that I think like yesterday, Derek Jeter, the picture of Derek Jeter with the
Bentley of hand sanitizing stands.
Yeah, it's this huge hand sanitizer stand behind his head in this picture that the Marlins posted, and he has his 2 iPads, and I could not stop thinking about it. I saw it at like 8 o'clock, went for a run, showered, got ready for work, and I was tweeting about it and then I was like, okay, I'm going to write an article about this. And I did, and it was sort of the same thing with The Bachelor, and so actually, I think it was Nate, who now works at SB Nation, which is awesome. He's my editor again. He was like, you should track Jordan Rogers' performance and like on The Bachelorette. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it as though he's a football player. So like grading week 1, grading week, and like threw in all these football metaphors. And then he won the show. And I was like, because I was going to stop, I figured he'd get kicked off like episode 4 and then I could stop. and he won.
Should know better than that.
How does that happen?
You know they're going to keep him around.
I don't know, man. So I had to do, and then I came to SB Nation, and Roger Sherman, who had been writing about The Bachelorette here, had gone to The Ringer. So I just kept doing it, and I think that the reason sports people get into it is it fills a football void, to be honest. I mean, Monday night. I also think that my whole stupid is it sports thing started because I would justify writing about The Bachelorette by saying The Bachelorette is sports, because by all intents and purposes, like, dating is basically sports, and here's a dating show competition, like someone wins, they have challenges, but like it is very competitive in a sports formula, which is very compelling, and you have characters as opposed to teams, and like it all just made sense. So I just kept going, and a bunch of other people, I guess, came to the same conclusion, and now we all live tweet The Bachelor, and it's
so bizarre.
It's so sad.
It's wild.
Have you met any of them in person, like afterwards, like after watching them on the show?
Oh, The Bachelors?
Yeah, The Bachelors or Bachelorettes.
Dude. Oh, God. Yeah. I went to a meet. I was supposed to interview Jordan Rogers at the Super Bowl, but he didn't want to talk to me.
Because of the tweets?
I don't know. I think
Can neither confirm nor deny.
His people framed it as like he only wanted to talk about football and didn't want to talk about The Bachelorette. But I also know that he used to follow me on Twitter, and then he unfollowed me after I wrote a post that said Jordan Rogers' post-Bachelorette Instagrams will make you want to barf. So
take a joke, Jordan. If you're listening,
I can see where he would not be my biggest fan. But no, I did meet Rachel after this last season. I went to a meet and greet at Lord and Taylor. And she and Brian were there, and I just wrote this whole thing about how she should have picked Peter and Brian sucked. And they didn't know who I was. I mean, they might know who I am in the abstract, but I went up to them and I was like given a rose, and they were like, "Thank you so much for coming," and took this picture with me. And I was standing there between them being like, I am such a duplicitous asshole. Like, oh my God. I actually wrote about it. So there's that. But yeah, I don't know. The whole thing. I think on a more serious note, that the part of the reason I do write about it is because I think that these reality shows people can mistake them for real. Also, we currently have a president who came to fame because of a reality show. Like, these things seem silly and stupid and insignificant, and look where we fucking are. So I think it's important to take them somewhat seriously, if only for their cultural implications. And so I try to I don't know, that also could just be what I tell myself to be able to sleep. But
works with us. That's a good.
Yeah.
I'll count it as an answer.
I like, and so I think it had to have been originated as like the perfect response to people that are like, I don't come to SB Nation to read about the fucking Bachelor, like, stick to sports. And so I want to talk about how much you regret that you've become like the go-to decider, the end-all be-all on is it sports. And even though the hardest thing in the world is being hungover at Penn Station and having to take an Amtrak and being hungover and moving, has been confirmed. Charlotte stamped is not sports, like many other things are, including The Bachelor. So, like, what would you give in your life to go back and not have to deal with fucking is it sports being like your brand?
Yeah, let's discuss your brand, Charlotte. Let's really dive into your brand.
She's going to hang up on us, dude. No.
And this was it. That was Charlotte. Thanks.
I think, first of all, Garrett, I really appreciate that because no one's ever asked me that. No one's ever been like, hey, do you realize that you did this to yourself and how much do you hate yourself for that? I'm
less excited about that now.
No. Like, I think it's honestly something I think I worry that I'm obnoxious. I think that, and that's a strange thing to say. I think there's something very weird about having anyone follow you. And I think there's something very weird about having anyone sort of know what you're about or what your thing is without you. Like, at a certain point, you lose control of that. I also think that it's happened relatively quickly for me. Like, a year ago, I mean, some people knew who I was, but like, I didn't have a lot more people know who I am at this time this year than they did last year. And that's by no means to say I'm like a thing or a big deal now, because I don't think I am. I don't think of myself that way, but I can't, like, I have to also be honest about what, you have to be very aware of the fact that if people follow you, like, I never want my shtick to be, like, ugh, there she goes again, doing her thing. So I've actually, like, I don't tweet something as sports anymore. People will do it at me. I don't want to become something where it's like, I don't want to get stale, I guess. I don't know. It's very strange to even like have a brand because I'm just like a person.
Yeah. But, well, you don't want like your boss being like, stick to not sticking to what is sports, Charlotte. Like,
yeah, right. Like, I very much, most of what I write about is sports. But I think that I used that as a way to be like, look, it actually came from a slightly more earnest place. It's definitely a joke. It's all a joke. Being hungover on a train, not being sports is obviously a joke. I think, though, that what I love, the reason I'm so glad that I came into this job in this world and sports media is because you can get at, I've never had one subject I've written about that I felt gave me as much access to the human condition and to various stories as sports has, because everything connects to sports. It's not that things are sports. It's that through these games we play, through these alliances we have with team, these loyalties, these psychologically, fandom is fucking fascinating, right?
Yeah,
like,
true.
How we attach our identities to these groups that owe us nothing, that we, it's super cool and interesting to me. And I think that it's allowed me to look at a bunch of different things across a lot of different areas of the country and people. And so I think, I wouldn't not do it. Like, I wouldn't undo Is It Sports? I think I think it's funny, like, I do know, though, that I've been like very conscious of it and tried to be like, I'm not going to try to be in your face at this constantly all the time, because I don't want to make people crazy online.
For sure. I mean, this might be, I just want to ask you this question because I know that you've like written about a lot of these different things. You wrote about like NASCAR recently. Like, we haven't really talked about it on this podcast, but like all of the shit that's going on with kneeling and the anthem and all that kind of stuff, like,
yeah,
and this conversation of like whether people should stick to sports, and like everything that Jamel Hill said and all of that kind of stuff, like what's your sort of take on that? I think you kind of explained it there, that like it is sort of like sports does dip into the human condition, but like Mandela used it to be super uniting, but it seems like it's just more dividing now along these lines. Like, where do you sort of see this conversation going when it comes to like sports and all the other shit that's going on in the world?
Yeah. I've been thinking about this obsessively. That Trump did all that shit about NFL players. And I felt like by the time I was doing this, I was doing a project for something else, and by the time I had the bandwidth again, everyone had said the things that I would have said. I don't think sports is ever separate from what's going on. You have real people playing these games. Athletes are smart people. They have families. Black athletes are, of course, going to. I mean, the idea that you could ask someone to, put away their beliefs about human rights, or the fact that, Kaepernick started this protest about police brutality and against minorities, and that's a fact that white people are less likely to get killed by the police than anyone else. And like, I think what drives me crazy is the mental gymnastics you have to do to make all of this about some idea of nationalism or patriotism, because you either don't want to examine the truth about the country or because you don't care. I think that freedom of speech and expression is so much. It's the first amendment. It's the
first fucking thing.
Like, I understand. I also understand someone having the right to be like, hey, I'm not cool with kneeling for a national anthem because of X, Y, and Z. But that by no means means that anyone else should not. Like, I think that it's a powerful way to protest. I think that the fact that the minute, especially the minute Trump inserted himself, it was like, well, stick to sports is now, like, fuck anyone who said that before, fuck anyone more who thinks that like, that's not a thing. And it can't be a thing. And I think what's so too bad is that it's become this, thing of unity, or, it became something different from what the original protest was about. Now it's about this sort of war between free speech and America and patriotism. And it's like, God, that is, I mean, it all got muddled, I think. And so I just think anyone should be able to say what they want. And I wish that there were more focus on, actually improving the communities that Kaepernick was trying to draw attention to.
Yeah.
All right.
Well said.
Wilder for Senate.
Oh.
I'm not going to put you all the way up there. You have to like work your way up, but I'll vote for you. So
you were very sweet. I think that I would put my foot in my mouth real quick. But hey, like, that appears to have worked for other people, so maybe I'll go for it.
Yeah, true. Yeah, my thing would be like, I'm running for office, and they'd be like, here's a video of this kid at like 19, blackout drunk somewhere, and be like, yeah, you can't ever put that in any office. We gotta, no.
I know, they'd be like, so Charlotte, we found those Facebook photos of you sitting in a pizza box with shoes on your hands.
Explain.
Like, you were sober for that, right? And they'd be like, totally
sober.
Those are shoe gloves.
That's exactly what it was. Shoe gloves. I love it.
Yes.
All right, so let's lighten up the topics a little bit from here. I don't think we can get any more from that. But I wanted to ask you about something. You posted a photo on Instagram of you wearing a Hawaiian shirt the same day that the giant bobblehead of Gruden came in the office. Well, he was also wearing a Hawaiian shirt. He's our guy, one of our first guests. Other than getting a little bit of bobblehead envy when I saw that because of how big that one was, I know that you have a bit of a Gruden story. Maybe not. Oh. Maybe not John, but you've actually run into Jay before, have you not?
Yeah, I have. Well, yeah.
Can you talk about this story at all?
Yeah, I wrote about the Kentucky Derby. and I went to the Barnstable Brown party, which is where all the athletes and celebrities go. And
Garrett's a big Kentucky boy, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I'm from Lexington.
Oh, my God. I loved it. I really loved it. I think Kentucky was cool. I would go back.
Yeah, it was tough. Before you dive into the story, I want to ask, did you read the Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas guy? Fuck.
Oh, Hunter S. Thompson?
Yeah, did you read his Derby story in prep for the Derby?
Yeah, so
it's amazing.
It's incredible.
It's one of my like all-time favorite just pieces of writing. Just it's amazing.
Well, it's funny. I'd read that years ago, maybe in high school, and then again in college. I went through a real Hunter S. Thompson phase.
And who didn't?
And now you live in Brooklyn.
Yeah,
that's rare.
Anyway, I actually currently have a bucket hat and tinted aviators sitting on my desk, completely accidentally. And as soon as I realized, no, I swear to God, I did this story, I was in Maine, and I'd brought this fucking stupid bucket hat with me and these aviators, and I was standing in line at security, and I found them in my bag, and the video guys I was with, I was like, oh no, and they were like, oh no. And I put it on and had a cigarette and put it in my mouth, and I was like, something's gone terribly wrong.
That's amazing.
I was horrified and a little proud. But so yeah, I read the Hunter S. Thompson piece on the plane there, and it was actually very funny because there were a lot of similarities. He talks in the piece that he can't get credentials. I couldn't get credentials, so I snuck in everywhere. He talks about being super drunk, and then I got really, really drunk one of the nights. I've been trying to be less of a degenerate, but that failed.
The tagline of this podcast is "For degenerates by degenerates." So welcome home. This is the safety nest. This is the safety nest show.
My alter ego is Dirtbag Wilder, so that's perfect.
Yes.
Yeah, I was playing pool at 3 a.m. in some dive bar on a side street, but in my derby dress. It was all very weird. But after I wrote that piece, people on Twitter were like, "Oh, what are you trying to be, Charlotte S. Thompson?" And I was like, "No."
Damn.
Is that an insult or a compliment? I don't know where you're going with that. But yeah, for part of the piece, I went to the Barnstable Brown party, which is the big fancy party. And I was pressed, but I was wearing an evening dress, and people, I think that if you see a reporter not wearing this, you're confused. I certainly confused myself. But so people didn't really realize that I was pressed at first. So I started just strolling around, and I'd bump into Jeff Bridges, and then look around, and Bodie Miller and his girlfriend were there, and then I'm hanging out with the Patriots and the Packers, and it was this. It was like if you took acid and read an Us Weekly. That's what my experience there was. So
that is incredible.
Yeah, it's something. It's something. I was trying to get through the crowd, and I bump into this guy, and he turns around, and it's Jay Gruden. And this is during all the Cousins contract shit, and the Redskins were falling apart, and I was like, oh, and my reaction was not to be sorry sir and keep walking. I was like, hey Jay, and he was like hey, and
you?
Yeah, and I you could tell that he was trying to figure out if he should know me, or if he knew me, or what was going on. And I was like, how you doing? And he was like, oh, I'm fine. And I was like, cool, yeah, how's the party going? And he's like, yep, it's a good time. It's a real good time. And I was like, how have you been? Or so, I just kept talking to this man who didn't know me. And he goes, I was like, hell of an off season, or I said something kind of an asshole thing to say, and he just goes, you have no idea, and kept watching Travis Tritt on stage, and I was like, okay, bye, and then kept walking, and then found Aaron Rodgers, and I was like, hello, and he was like. I don't know. Sometimes I hear myself tell these stories and I'm like, what were you doing?
That's incredible.
I saw Tom Brady's chair just spontaneously collapse out from under him, which as a Pats fan, I was like, oh God, is he hurt?
Not the chosen one.
It just couldn't support all of the true weight of a goat. Like, goats are denser than standard humans. By the way, I am also a Patriots fan. Like,
I know, I was really
like a
trying
huge
to minimize
Patriots
that to
fan.
like the very end.
So,
Hell yeah.
So Garrett, this is something that he does not like about me. It's
It's
no one
something
likes
that no one likes about any of you all, and like except for those who are Pats fans.
Sorry about the 5 rings, brah.
Okay, I'm from Kentucky. I don't even have a team, so like, you know what?
Oh.
I like all the other teams. There's more rings than that.
That's
Boom!
turning into a GIF. Sorry about the 5 rings, bruh. That's 100% going on the internet. So, I mean, it is on the internet right now.
The
But.
story of my memoir is going to be Charlotte Wilder. She did this to herself. So
It's like a writer, like reporter research thing, whatever. How have you not, like, someone's got to have some footage of Tom Brady's chair just breaking on him.
I don't think they do. I remember looking around being like, someone got this on camera, and it was all
You got to bribe a security guy.
Yeah, it was all of his people. I was like 3 feet away because I was trying to go talk to him, and immediately after, his Boston bodyguard dude was like, "Oh, where do you think you're going?" And I was like, "I just want to talk to Tom," and they were like, "No, you have to step back behind the chair. Stop it." And I was like, sorry. I was like, I'm from Boston. He was like, I don't give a fuck. And I was like, right.
Will you do us a favor and say your own name in your Boston accent?
Charlotte.
That's so good.
So brutal.
So why no accent for you?
My parents are not from Boston.
Okay.
My dad grew up overseas. His dad was in the CIA. He was a spy.
Whoa.
Fuck.
And then my mom's family is from Baltimore, New York. And they both moved up for school.
Oh my God. If you had like a Baltimore meets Boston accent, you would literally, no one could be able to understand. You'd have to walk around with a fucking translator.
I know, it would be so terrible. It would be sometimes, yeah, no. But like a lot of my friends growing up, their parents had accents or they had accents, so I can do an okay one. We'll go down to Gillette. I was tailgating at Gillette the other day, and I saw fucking Tom Brady. I swear to God, Tom Brady walked through the fucking parking lot, kid. Dude.
Okay, dude.
Oh, my God.
Meanwhile, like, Jay is just like, hey, man, it's a pretty good accent he's got there, man.
Exactly.
Oh, that's so good. I always tell people, like, when you play that game, it's like, if you can have one accent other than your own, what would it be? And then people are like, oh, like, gonna have a French one or an Italian one. Like, I always say Boston, and they're just like, why would you want a Boston accent? Like, I grew up in Chicago, but like, even that, like, those accents, like, I just love them so much. They're just like so much fun. It's like, yeah, it's a little abrasive, but you know what? Fuck off, kid. You know?
Yeah, fuck off, dude. What are you? Yeah, the fucking beat. Go to the gas. No, I grew up in Boston and in Maine, and the Maine accent is also amazing. I think what I like about these regional accents is they're kind of disappearing. Like everything is what? No.
You like about them? No. That makes it makes you appreciate them. No, I agree.
Yeah.
Especially like leaving Kentucky. I mean, I went to school at Belmont and Nashville too. So like the accents just got thicker, and like leaving that part of the country, I was in New York. Now I'm in Chicago. It made me appreciate them more, but I was definitely fucking tired of them after like 20 years of living. I was like, oh God. I was like, thank you. Some people like think I have a little bit, or like I talk a little slow, but I don't think I have too much of one. Not really. My mom will, like, certain words, like, it'll come out, and my dad's actually from, like, my mom's from Lexington. My dad's from a really small town, like a half hour outside of Lexington, but he doesn't really have one at all. So, I'm glad. I mean, I don't dislike him, but I'm like, like, having a really thick country accent moving to New York would have been so fucking annoying. And people just would have thought I was an idiot. And that's just, like, a fact. I've had friends be like, a buddy of mine in college in St. Louis was talking to a friend of ours from Tullahoma, Tennessee. It's like 20 minutes. It's like an hour-ish outside of Nashville, right next to where Bonnaroo happens, same county. Okay.
Yeah.
And he like is the managing editor of Native Magazine in Nashville. He's like an incredible writer, just like really smart dude. Parents, one's a lawyer, one's a professor and musician by trade. And
Yeah.
but he is the thickest accent. He's like, "Hi man, like it's good to see you. It's been a while." But he could like do a fucking dissertation on like Southern Gothic literature. It's his like favorite shit. And like one of our buddies from St. Louis was like, "I got to be honest, I thought Charlie was just a fucking idiot until I had a conversation with him. He just talks so slow." And I'm like, "All right, easy, St. Louis. Let's pump the brakes here. Like, talks a little slow. Like you chose to go to school in Tennessee. You gotta adapt. Like, let them do their thing."
Right. No, that's so funny. Yeah, I think that I could see where that would be. I love Southern accents. I think they're great.
Yeah, I can dig them. I liked them now. After getting away from them for a little bit, I was like, all right.
You're like, okay, we can dip back in.
Yeah.
There's such a level of like passive aggressiveness that's like added into Southern accents too. I was in Alabama for like 4 months. Yeah, I was dating a girl. It was a whole thing. But like I would.
It was the whole thing.
It was. Yeah. This is not the time and place.
Yeah. Ooh, go on.
Yeah. Yeah. It was in. I forget what's the main city? They just UAB. Birmingham. It was in Birmingham. And the amount of times that I would hear like, I always thought it was nice when I hear like, "Oh, bless his heart," and I was like, "Oh, that's a nice thing," and then it's like, no, that's like saying like that person's fucked, and
Yeah,
I'm not going to do anything about it, but. Yeah.
Yep.
It's like, wow.
Bless your heart. Oh, you're a fucking idiot.
You're done. You really messed up. So. Oh, that's great.
So funny.
All right. So it is the Thursday show, and Charlotte, here on Thursdays, Garrett and I we talk about our picks for the week. For those of you that are listening for the first time, pick mine and not Garrett's, because Garrett went 0 for last week. Wasn't really great. It was tough. But
Garrett.
But I'm gonna throw some games to you, Charlotte. We'll do some college football. We'll do some pro football. Let's see.
Put the Pats on there for you fuckers. So
Ready.
All right. We'll start in the NFL. I was really disappointed. I'm sure you were disappointed as well. Don't understand. As Bill said, we need to play better and we need to coach better. So the Pats lost. The Pats are actually giving up 5.5 points on the road at Tampa Bay. So Pats -5.5 at Tampa Bay. Where are you going in this game?
I feel like they're going to keep sucking, but... I mean, that's a relative term, right? Oh, the poor Pats fan, her team didn't win every game. How does this work?
Okay.
So will the Pats win by 6 points, or like more or less, basically?
Yeah.
Or will they, or you can pick the Bucs straight up if you'd like.
No, I think they'll do it. Yeah, I think they will. I think they'll do it. Yeah.
By a touchdown, you think?
Yeah, Pats, but yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm a little worried because the defense situation, and also
what defense?
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
That's the point.
But also because Jameis throws well.
He does.
So
he throws well.
I don't know. Let's say I'm going to say they're going to do it. Yeah.
All right. Count it. Wilder lock. That's a dirtbag lock right there.
Dirtbag Wilder.
Okay. I'll ask you one more. College football. I'm a big Michigan State guy. Went to Michigan State. I know.
Yeah,
I'm
correct.
Sorry.
Do you have
Michigan
a college football team? So I know you went to like a smaller liberal arts school, or
no.
What the fuck is that about Michigan State?
Shit.
What the like?
So growing up in Boston, and my family is not a big football family, and I didn't have any I didn't really, until like 7th grade, I didn't know that college football was like a thing people cared about. I swear to God. And one of my best friends, in 7th grade, she had just started at the school, and she was a huge Michigan fan. And so Michigan was like the only. I was just like, oh, cool, yeah, I could like Michigan. And so I think the one thing that was sort of ingrained in me was like, we don't like Michigan State.
I appreciate that. I definitely do.
But for this game coming up,
they're playing Michigan.
I know, and I am gonna go.
She knows. She's a sports writer.
You're gonna go with Michigan.
Yeah.
You think? All right. Fair enough.
What are you gonna go with?
I'm gonna. I actually think that Michigan State has a chance to win this game. Michigan's defense has been good up in the front, but their secondary hasn't been great, and their quarterback play isn't 100%. And our linebackers actually really stepped up against Iowa and held Iowa to, I think we got like 2 or 3 turnovers this past game. So, for Harbaugh's sake, he needs to win this game. I don't think they're going to win the Big Ten this year. And if they lose to Michigan, being a 10.5-point favorite at home, then you're really talking about, like, I joked around about it earlier in the season. We had Luke Zimmerman on, former college manager, and he's obviously a big Ohio State guy. And he was talking. I was joking around. I was like, "Is Urban Meyer on the hot seat because he hasn't won the Big Ten yet?" And he was like, "No, he's not. But if they lose, I would like to think he is." There's something that just he tries too hard. Harbaugh just tries too hard.
Harbaugh tries really fucking hard.
No, it's so fucking genuine that he's that fucking absurd.
You really think so?
Not all of it. I
think so. I really do. Yeah, I think to be that obsessive and crazy and do the things he does, and the way he talks, like he believes he has drank his Kool-Aid.
Drinks
no,
his
it's
whole
not milk. It's milk.
Sorry,
it's not
milk. Right. Jesus Christ. Sports are so weird. Oh my god. Sometimes, but
I'll be honest. I'm a milk guy. I'm a big milk guy. Like a vitamin D, like cold glass. I picked that up
milk
from my
is in
parents.
the game. It's like if it needs to be an iced coffee or a White Russian.
I like milk.
How the fuck did we get here, guys?
I like milk.
Yeah. I wouldn't say I'm a milk guy, but I am.
That's how we're billing this podcast.
I'm not
Charlotte Wilder likes milk. Listen,
likes milk, not milk guy.
Yeah. Let's keep on.
going.
Like, okay. I'm gonna edit in like an ESPN style like ticker at the bottom of the show. Now it's gonna be like
breaking news.
I like milk. Quoted Charlotte Wilder, self-proclaimed not milk guy.
This room's heating up. I'm very warm. Oh my god. That's the embarrassment just manifesting itself. Keep going.
Oh, that's great. All right, Packers at the Cowboys. Packers are actually getting 2 points, so the Cowboys are still favorited.
Well, this one's tough because the Cowboys have been so erratic and just like sometimes I watch them and I'm like, I still think Dak is the best thing that ever happened, but there have been a few games where I'm like, oh yeah, like they're getting their shit together, and then like at the start of the Cardinals game when they were down by 7, I was like, how are they only down by 7? This. So, and then last week was I'm really into the Rams this year. Super into the Rams.
I bet on the Rams.
Blue and white
straight
only
up.
Rams.
I thought they were going to win that game.
Yeah. Did you really?
Yeah.
It's pretty good. So I think the Packers are going to win.
I agree
with you as well. This is good. I'm gonna laugh my fucking ass off when you just beat us in all of these picks, and it's just like we just. I think I'm
gonna have to fire myself from my own fucking podcast if I go. Not if you win. No, I have enough. I respect you.
Has never
but if I go back to back overs, like I'm fucking out of here, dude.
Yeah, sorry, dude.
Yeah, there might be a vacancy if you want to become my co-host after this week, Charlotte. Garrett might just drop off the face of the earth.
Call me up. I'll be driving to Tahoe. We can chat again.
There you go. There you go.
So good.
Tahoe Convo.
Tahoe.
Your new podcast.
Man, that's good.
Tahoe Wilder.
Tahoe Wilder. I feel like the Wilder is like a brand of Tahoe. You know how they had like the Eddie Bauer expedition? We just We just have the Charlotte Wilder Tahoe. That's how it works.
Charlotte Wilder Chevy Tahoe, dude. And it's like painted. It's painted with like mushrooms and like weird. And people are like, "Oh God, she really went off the deep end."
Lost it. She moves to Brooklyn for like a week, and she's already fucking painted this Tahoe to look like a Grateful Dead concert.
She got dreadlocks. It's really weird. Actually, my dad's name is Troop, which is
Troop Wilder.
Yeah.
Okay, where overseas did he grow up? You said he grew up overseas, but not.
Yeah, he was born in Germany and then in Croatia and Austria and DC for a bit and Switzerland. His family's from New York City.
So are these all the places that your grandpa was like an assassin for the CIA? Just all these different countries?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm not sure about the assassin part.
You're also not unsure.
Right. Like, but, no,
Imagine your grandpa is the donut guy in Wayne's World when he's like, how come it's a crime to kill a man, or not a crime to kill a man in war, but in the passion of love?
That is my grandfather.
Boom. Knew it.
No, so but whenever we would go on vacation and need a rental car, he would make us get an Isuzu Trooper.
That's the greatest dad joke
of all time.
Yeah.
I tried to make my dad, Jimmy, get one of those fucking Jimmy little baby SUV cars, and he wouldn't do it. Your dad pulled the trigger. That's amazing.
Well, I mean, I think my mom enabled him. I think that, I realized the other day, I was like they used to sit me down in front of like Bill Murray movies and the Marx Brothers and like old Saturday Night Lives, and like I would study them. Like they would like funny.
This
in
literally
my
is explaining so much right now.
I know, like jokes were literally, and still kind of are, like the only thing we care about. We're like I, anytime I'm like, yeah, like I'm dating someone, my parents would be like, "Is he funny?" And I'm like, well, they're like, "Is he kind?" And I'm like, well, usually no, but then they're like, "Is he funny?" And I'm like, yes. Funny is the only thing that matters. Anyway.
It's good. That's what I've been telling myself for the longest time. Just laughing / crying into the mirror. I'm like, it's okay. Funny matters, dumb.
Like, your jokes are
good. Someone will appreciate them. And then I found Garrett. So,
I'm laughing.
It's good. It's good. It's great. I have self-esteem today. Okay, so we know that you love dive bars. So I want to get some of your recommendations. What are some of your favorite dive bars in New York City?
Ooh, I love this question.
I'm a big dive bar guy. That's where I would gladly go. Like, make it real dark. Give me a shitty fucking beer in front of me. Like, that's what I want to be.
Give me the beer shot combo deal.
Yep.
All day, every day.
Give me a high life, have some pool, and put on the longest Allman Brothers song you can find.
So I'm going to jump out ahead of you and assume you love Blue and Gold.
I haven't been there.
Fuck. All right, I was worth trying. This would be the most baller move if I pick a bar that fits in New York, because people forget, like, that exact dive bar you just described. There's like give or take 120 in Manhattan.
Oh, yeah, sure. I'm gonna go slightly different here. I'm gonna tell you my favorite dive bars in a few different cities.
Let's go. Okay.
So in New York, there's this place called Alibi, which is in Fort Greene, which is one of the few places in Fort Greene that isn't like super, overdone by now. I mean, I love, my favorite restaurants are in Fort Greene, but like this is a real awesome dive. They have a jukebox. It's like slightly not underground, but like you have to walk down steps. And they have pool and just like high lifes, which is all I care about. There's also, in Williamsburg, Skinny Dennis is great, and the Levee is great.
The Levee's
but then when it comes to in Boston, where I lived for 4 years after college, my favorite bar is the Sevens in Beacon Hill. They had the bouncer, I don't know why they have a bouncer. I think it's because it's so small, it like gets to capacity really quick. So it's not like most people there are wearing like fucking banker vests and like have the haircut and are, like dudes that, but this guy Paul was the bouncer, and he was like a big union guy, and he was always talking about the local elections. And this one time I walk in and he like became my bud. I'd be like, Paul. He'd be like, Charlotte. And
Paulie.
I walked in and he was like, you dating anyone? And I was like, this is going to be interesting where this goes. He was like 45 and I was like 22. And I was like, no. And he was like, I want you to meet my friend Tom. And I was like, okay. And Tom comes over. Tom's got to be like 55 years old. He's missing like 2 fingers. He has this huge scar across his face. And I was like, I really don't want to be a dick here. I was like, so when I said I wasn't seeing anyone, I'm actually married. And
yeah, to Tom now. I was wondering, how long have you guys been together?
Yeah, right. We're very happy.
But is he funny?
So, yeah.
Did you ask him what he would do if he ever catches James Bond?
Seriously, though, maybe I missed my chance. And then in Somerville, that's good. In Somerville, there's this bar, Sligo, which is just awesome, which is this like total hole in the wall. And then the one other I will say is in Nashville, the Springwater. I don't know if have you been there, Garrett?
I actually haven't.
It's behind. There's no reason you would have. It's behind.
Well, no, because like dive bars are like my shit. Like the dirtier, the uglier, the cheaper, the crappier. That's my jam. All right, I need to. I'm so pissed. I was like just there.
Yeah.
Last week.
You should go back just for this bar. It's like behind a McDonald's. It's kind of near Vanderbilt. It's behind a McDonald's, like on this strip mall, like. And you go in, and there's like a front room, and then there's just incredible live music in the back, and it's
okay.
Really.
I know where you're talking about because there's only like 2 places that fit that description, like near Vandy, at McDonald's, in a strip. So
it's classy, right?
All right,
yeah.
I just had a great idea. We need to get like some sort of like an SB Nation Bro Bible crossover content series where the 3 of us just go to dive bars across the country and just figure that out. So
do not play with my emotions. Oh yeah.
There's got to be a sponsor out there somewhere that'll do it. Like PBR is in all of these places. Like they've got.
Dude, my life tweets at me.
Do they really?
Damn.
That's not me. I'll tell you that one's not me.
Not to brag.
Yeah, you gotta be like pimping that out. Start getting some tweets with a little hashtag ad because people never know when they're ads, so you have to hashtag ad.
Hashtag ad. Yeah, I'll work on it.
So speaking of Twitter, we asked Adam Amin last week who he follows, who are good follows. I'm going to ask you the same question. You follow at last count 998 people.
Yeah, I tried to fit under 1,000.
Your ratio's got to be like pretty like fuego. How many followers does she have? Do you know?
What's my ratio? What's the ratio?
You're like 15K, aren't you?
Yeah.
It's nice. I mean, I know that, Garrett and I aren't on that follow list, but it's all right. You want to keep it under 1,000. Like, I get it.
I'm going to follow you guys. You had to earn it.
That's the whole reason I have this fucking podcast. Yeah, you're at 15.4, so like a 15 to 1 follower ratio is pretty damn good.
Thank you. It's all so meaningful.
These are the things that matter.
Who should you follow? Who are some of my favorite? I mean, I feel like at this point, so many of the, sports media people or people that everyone follows already. I think the SB Nation crew, some people are criminally underfollowed. I think there's some...
I love when you find those.
Yeah, I my coworker, Jessica Smetana, I need to find what her
send it to us. We'll get it in the show notes and like popping up on like an edit or something. We'll see what we can do.
She's a total riot. She cracks me up regularly. She's pretty young, and I'm super psyched to have her on our staff. I think also Richard Johnson, who's one of our college football guys, is also super funny. And he recently pulled a real long con on me, which was yesterday. We're all standing around sort of like messing around after work, and he's about to leave, and he was like, check your Twitter. And he'd like been on his phone for a while, and I was like, oh no. And I check, and he's made a collage of pictures of me wearing weird hats.
I just saw that one. That was nice.
Yeah, that he'd like collected over and I didn't know, there are like two of me in two different bucket hats, like a football helmet, several baseball hats, and I was like, oh God, this is like and then my coworker Ryan Nanny was like, yo, if you leave a hat on Charlotte's desk, like she'll just put it on. And I was like, I realized that was true. And then he came to my desk and counted how many weird hats I had, and I had 7. I had a plastic crown, a plastic tiara, a straw hat, a bucket hat, and 2 baseball hats. And I was like, no one needs this much headgear.
Not a milk guy, hat guy. No. Hat gal.
Big hat gal. Sounds perfect.
You're like Ron Burgundy, like, whatever is put on the screen for him to read, he will read. Whatever hat is put on that desk will be worn.
I'm Charlotte Wilder.
We are 100% making Debate the Slate bucket hats now. This is
do it
a thing.
Do it and send me one.
You're gonna get one of one.
Yeah.
Like everybody talks about sneaker drops. Like you're getting 1 or 1 bucket hat.
Can it be monogrammed?
Yeah. Do you want it to say what do you want it to say on the other side?
I want to say Dirtbag Wilder.
Dirtbag Wilder, monogrammed. Done.
Yeah.
Count
Thanks. Perfect.
That's incredible.
All right. Well, this was fantastic. We could go on for like another 7 hours. But yeah, I have a feeling that you might end up being one of the first guests that we're going to have to repeat with, because this was way too much fun.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, you guys are the best. Well, this was a total blast. I was totally stuck on an article. So it was a great excuse to stop writing it. And now I'm in a way better mood than I was when I started talking to you, or before I talked to you guys. So maybe the article will be better.
There you go. You know what, audience of SB Nation, you're welcome.
You're welcome for a slightly less shitty article than you would have got it. No, you guys are the best. I'll follow you on Twitter. I'm sorry I didn't already. I'm an asshole. I apologize. You rule.
No, you rule. Thank you so much, Charlie. We really appreciate it.
You guys rock. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Yep.
Bye.
Oh, God, she is fantastic.
It's fucking hilarious. Like, I was like, you know what? Maybe we'll just, like, break a record for, like, the longest interview of all time, and we'll just hang out on the internet together forever.
Yeah, I know. Like we start, like, a telethon type thing with just, like, some counter in the background or some shit. But yeah, so that was Charlotte. Everybody, make sure you go out and follow her. She is, she's just a blast. Really great. I have no doubt that she's gonna. We're gonna have to get her back on. I think that the bucket hat will for sure help. Like,
oh yes.
Like, if that doesn't seal the deal, then I mean, we must really suck at podcasting if she doesn't want to come back on after that. But
yeah.
All right. This is already a mega-sized podcast, so let's make sure.
We'll breeze through.
Yeah.
We'll Drew these. Breeze through.
Yeah, we'll Drew Breeze right through these. Drew Breeze through these. I like that. All right, Garrett. I'm gonna.
Dude, I think I went first last week.
Okay, you want me to go first?
Whatever. Yeah, anything to like fucking change my juju.
Okay, here we go. Let's flip it up. This is good. I'll even move the microphone to the other side, just to like maybe this will help. Is this good?
I like it. I'll take it.
All right.
Triple stamp and double stamp.
Triple stamp and double stamp. Here we go. Quack, quack, quack. Let me pull up my notes on my phone. All right, so my locks. I have a couple of. I actually have a couple of games for you on the college side, and just a little bit on the pro side. So, college side, Wazoo is actually a pick'em game against Oregon this week. It's at Oregon. I think that Mike Leach has those boys fired up after that win. Against USC, I don't think this is going to be a drop-off. He's going to keep them going. They played so well in that game. And while Oregon can put up points, I'm still taking Wazoo in that one. Michigan State at Michigan. I am a really good boyfriend, so I am actually not going to the bar to watch this game. It is my girlfriend's birthday. It is also our dog's birthday, so we're sharing that birthday party. And that's how dedicated I am. I'm going to be like low-key watching this on my phone, but I'm not going to be at a bar. That being said, I think this is a chance for Michigan State to actually surprise people. So I am taking Michigan State plus 10.5. I'm also taking a flyer. I'm kissing it as I wave it goodbye digitally. But I'm also going to put a flyer on Michigan State on the money line on this game because they're plus 315. So, you only live once. I know you're going to talk about this game, so I will mention it too. Miami is going to kick the shit out of Florida State. That team is really good, and everybody is fired up to get that turnover chain. I want a turnover chain, so I'm going there. I'm also going to keep it in the state, Florida versus LSU. I'm sorry, Coach O. I love you. I love all my friends down there. Shout out walk-ons again. I love LSU, and I want them to do well, but they're going to lose to Florida. Florida's going to cover that spread. This is a big one. Iowa State against Oklahoma. This is a giant line. It's 26 points, and I want to say I want to stay away from that, but I think Oklahoma is going to blow the doors off of this Iowa State team. They had a chance at home to beat Texas, and they didn't. They very much didn't. And so I'm going to very much take Oklahoma in that game. And then I'm also going to take the Packers +2. We talked about it a little bit already. I like the Packers to win that game, so I'm going to take them +2. All right, Garrett, fire away, man. Let's. I'm sending all the positive vibes your direction. Everybody send the positive vibes. Garrett, he needs a win.
Dear gambling gods, I'm asking for redemption and forgiveness, but mostly redemption. All right, here we go. Yes, I love Miami -3 at Florida State. Florida State has done nothing to give us any hope or reason to put faith in them. I gave them a chance against NC State, saying they still had enough depth. They just shit all over me. So fuck those guys. I bet against Miami against when they played Duke. They shit all over me. So if you can't beat them, bet them. Miami -3 at Florida State. Bama at Texas A&M. I like the over here, over 54. Bama's offense has just been firing on all cylinders. I think A&M has a good enough offense to put some points on the board. That's all that they have to do. This could look something like low 40s to 10 or 13 or 14. That's all we really need. I think they have the ability to do that. So I like the over there. Another huge lopsided game in the spreads. I like California to cover 27.5 at Washington. That's just a lot of points, especially when you have a quarterback like Rosen, who I'm in love with. Wait, Rosen's Cal, right? Not UC. Yeah. All right. I almost got myself mixed up.
No, Rosen's UCLA.
Oh, fuck. You're right. The fucking Cal quarterback. Whatever his name is that I'm blanking on. I'm an idiot. Anyway, their offense is too good. Against Washington. I think they'll be able to cover that against Washington.
Bowers.
Yes, that fucking guy. I'm really struggling in life. Let's see. Bills +3 at Bengals. Cincinnati is absolute trash. I don't care that they have been looking a little bit better, but the Bill, Tyrod Taylor has looked like an NFL quarterback, an average or above average one. He's been really good for him from what we've expected. I like the Bills to cover that, to cover the 3-point spread. Probably sprinkle a little money on them for the upset. Chiefs at Texans, 46.5 is the total here. The Houston Texans have an offense for the first time ever. So
that Deshaun Watson's no joke, man.
Yeah, and I thought he was going to be very good. He has been. He was just the one little missing piece of the puzzle they needed. A couple of good defenses here, so that worries me a hair. But I think there's enough firepower on offense for both of these squads. I think they're going to hit that over. So over 46.5. And I would normally wouldn't do this, but because I was such a disaster last week, I'm going to recall my Cal plus 27.5. I honestly, when I was looking at it, I was thinking of UCLA in my mind because I'm a moron. And that's what I was like, yeah, well, that Memphis game was fucking crazy. That was UCLA. I'm an idiot. I do think Cal's underrated team this season, but I don't know. I'm gonna ixnay that one.
Okay.
So
no,
boom.
canceled. Rescind the bet.
There it is.
All right, man. That's what we've got for you guys. Garrett, do you have any dogs this week that you're specifically looking at?
Nothing too crazy.
The only one that I can really think of is South Carolina is getting 2 points at home versus Arkansas.
Saw that too.
I don't think Arkansas is a great team. I think that this is a game that is very winnable for South Carolina. They won. They beat Texas A&M last week. I think that Arkansas is probably right about the same sort of feeling there. Arkansas also lost to Texas A&M, so if you want to transitive property the shit out of that one, I'm sure Adam loves that. What up? But that's where I'm going to go with my dog.
A couple that I'm not crazy about, but if I wanted to, I think it's worth considering NC State upsetting Louisville. That's plus 145. It's at NC State.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, I like that one too. And then there was one other one I had here. I want to get the number right. They murdered me last week, but I still think they're a team. Duke at UVA. I think Virginia had been underrated, and that win against Boise State I really liked. But Duke, I think it's going to be a really good game regardless. But Duke is plus 115 if you like them to bounce back from last week.
There you go. That is everything you need to know. Ladies and gentlemen, we are Debate the Slate. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. Make sure you follow along if you want to listen to this and re-listen to the interview with Charlotte. It's great. It's definitely worth a re-listen. Make sure you download the podcast, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, share this shit out. Share it out right now, one more time, because why not?
Yeah.
Just go ahead and hammer that.
Remember that share. So much, guys. Tell your friends. Tell your mom. Tell everyone.
Because we're getting winners for everybody out here. All right. Talk to you guys.